It's crazy. So, but yeah, we're about to get started here. I just want to make sure that I'm up on screen. Yeah, there we go. We're good. All right. So today I have to open up for you from the Masterverse line. You can see this is an older Masterverse figure, Masters of the Universe Revelation Mer-Man. Now they've done two Masters of the Universe Revelation Mer-Man figures, and the other one is the more classic looking Mer-Man. But the first one they started off with was the one that takes place in the present day of the story. You can see he's got one eye and he's got no armor. Why did they not include the armor? Probably because they were cheap. I think it's the same thing that happened with Beastman, and I never got the Revelations Beastman figure either. Mainly the reason I kind of skipped on these two is because they were missing their armor, and I just thought that was kind of cheap. I mean, that's pretty much the if, when, where, and how of it. But I got to thinking, because I just barely missed out on getting a new Eternia Mer-Man. Like, I was gonna buy the new Eternia Mer-Man a while back, and I saw it was on Big Bad Toy Store. And yeah, Bobby Wald says I need to find the new Eternia Mer-Man. Yeah, he's expensive now, is the problem. But yeah, like I saw it on Big Bad Toy Store, and I'm like, cool. I get paid tomorrow. I'll buy it tomorrow. And then when I went back tomorrow, it was gone. So apparently that was like the last one, and it sold at that time, at that exact minute, at that precise moment. That was when it sold. So I was really disappointed that I was not able to get the new Eternia Mer-Man, because that's an awesome looking figure. And I've been trying to look around to find one for a decent price, and they're all like $50, and I don't want to spend $50 on it. It's a nice figure, but I don't want to spend $50 on it. So I'm like, this guy is cheap as hell. Like, you can get him for like, $12 in some places. I want to say Big Bad Toy Store had him for like $13. I want to say that was the price on that one. And I was like, well, I'll just make my own Masterverse Mer-Man with blackjack and hookers. And the thought process that I had, this is a funny and long and involved story. The thought process that I had was, I'm gonna get that Revelation Mer-Man, and I'm gonna get an extra Lords of Power Mer-Man, and I'm gonna see see what I can do about swapping around the parts, maybe print out some new parts, do whatever I can. I'm gonna make myself a badass new Eternia, not new Eternia, but I'm gonna make myself a badass Masterverse Mer-Man. If I can't have the new Eternia Mer-Man, I'm gonna have one that's like that's on my terms. I'm gonna make like my definitive Mer-Man. So I was thinking, get the Lords of Power Mer-Man figure and see about mashing up the parts. So I went onto eBay to try to find. Oh, Al Davis is here. Before I get too deep into this, I want to say hi to Al Davis, because he says good evening, Alan. So I wanted to say hi back to him. But just so you're not being ignored. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just telling a story. So I went on to eBay, and with the intention of trying to find whatever Mer-Man parts I could find for cheap. And Kairos is here, and Kairos says hello, Alan. So hello, Kairos. So I was looking on eBay, trying to find whatever Origins Mer-Man parts I can cheap, and looking for Origins stuff on eBay is annoying, because everybody wants to list vintage He-Man stuff as Origins. And I figure that's got to be really annoying it's obviously annoying from me when I'm specifically looking for Origins parts so I can use them on customs. But I figure it's also got to be annoying when people are searching for vintage stuff and they've got all this new crap showing up. It's just stop listing vintage stuff as Origins and vice versa. That's what I'm saying. Bobby Wald says, I have a hard time pulling the trigger on buying that Mer-Man because he looks too much like Popeye. Conflict of interest, either you're Popeye or Mer-Man. Yeah, I was going to make Popeye jokes, so I don't have to now because you already did it. That's it. That's what you get. All right, that's all the Popeye you get. And I might as well mention Robin Williams while I'm at it, because we like to talk about Robin Williams on this channel, and Robin Williams was a great Popeye. Grant G says, I like the new Attorney of Mer-Man too. I like the new Attorney of Mer-Man too. I wish I could afford it, but I can't. So this is what I did. I was on eBay. I was looking for the whatever Origins He-Man parts that I could or Mer-Man parts that I could use to customize it. And I was thinking about just mashing up the Lords of Power Mer-Man and this Mer-Man. That was what I was thinking about doing. And lo and behold, somebody on eBay already did it, and they were selling him for like $20. And I'm like, why buy? Like, I'm probably gonna, if I was to buy just the full figures, and I can't find the loose parts I'm looking for. If I was to just to buy the full figures, it would cost me like more to buy the two figures than what this guy is selling. The parts that I want from each figure already put together. So I might as well buy that one. And so I bought this one, and he's really cool. And the only problem is that he's got this sword, and this sword's fine. Don't get me wrong. But you know me. And you know how I love Mer-Man. And you know that one of the things that I love about Mer-Man is the corn sword. So he's got to have the corn sword. So I am going to print out I'm gonna just take the scan of the original corn sword, and scale it up and make myself a larger, a Masterverse size corn sword, and that's what he's got. But for now, this is what he's got. He's fine. And Grant G says he looks great. I concur. I thought this figure looked really nice. I thought that I thought initially these are parts that would go really well together, and I was right when I saw them for sale. Now, the one problem that you can see, the one issue with this that's kind of obvious is since it is made for a shorter Origins torso, it does leave the abs kind of a little bit exposed there. So that's not particularly accurate to any version of Mer-Man. Usually Mer-Man's got his full abs covered up, but I think it looks good. I think it looks fine. I think it actually works. So, and he's still got the kind of fancy Mer-Man belt buckle, but you can see the Revelation version was a bit more subtle, a bit more incorporated into the belt, not quite as bow tie looking when it's sticking out and everything. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. So, and then I was examining the figure, and there were just things I wanted to talk about with this figure. So I was like, man, now I kind of wish I had bought one to unbox so I could go ahead and talk about it on the channel. And then I realized it's my channel. I can do whatever the hell I want. I'll go ahead and buy another one anyway. So and I can do a different custom Mer-Man figure. So I've got some stuff that I've got already printed out that we can have a look at in just a minute when I open him up. Grant G says he looks great. Thank you. Kyrus says nice. Thank you. Kyrus says I'm going to sell a bunch of Mezco figures this week. Well, I hope you make some good money off of those because I know those are expensive. So hopefully you get a good return on your investment. So are you selling those on eBay or something like that? Al Davis says awesome. Yeah, he did turn out pretty well. And like I said, I didn't I didn't put that together myself technically, but it's the idea that I had to put together. This other person already had the idea and did it. And I went ahead and took him out of the box without talking much about the box. But we got a nice little picture of Mer-Man over here, being all strong to the finish. And just says Mer-Man over here. It's the old kind of boring Masterverse packaging before they jazzed it up and made it better. Really nice picture of Mer-Man here fighting a Kraken. And we got the cross-sell art with Mer-Man, Teela, He-Man, and Skeletor. That is the Viking He-Man and the Barbarian Skeletor, which I've opened all three of these figures previously on this channel. In fact, I've got the Revelation Teela right here from when we were talking about Teela a while back. Al Davis says, as a small child, my family and I went to the Popeye set. Sorry. That was left behind after the Ultimate film was done in Malta. I think it's still there, actually. You are correct. It is still there, and it is still a tourist attraction. And they repainted it to be in like some more cartoony colors, and I still keep getting ahead of myself because I forgot to read the bio. There's a bio on the back, so let's read it. Mer-Man, ocean warlord, the undersea warlord of a lost kingdom, allied himself to Skeletor out of necessity, not out of respect. With the Lord of Destruction gone from the face of Eternia, this treacherous trout retreated to the Crystal Sea and his army of Aquaticons, good or evil, all that sail Eternia's waters do so at their own risk. And I would be remiss in not mentioning, I should say, that Mer-Man on the Masters of the Universe Revelation cartoon was voiced by the legend himself, the late, great Kevin Conroy. Batman, yes, the definitive voice of Batman, supplied the voice of this version of Mer-Man, and did a great job. He did not do that gurgly thing like Lou Scheimer did. He wasn't talking like this, but he was basically just, being Kevin Conroy, and you can't go wrong with that, right? So let's go ahead and get the all the accessories out of his package, and it's mainly a bunch of hands. He's got a whole bunch of hands, and he's got 2 weapons, and like I said, he's got no armor, which I think is kind of chintzy. I think what they should have done, and maybe then Bobby Wald would have pulled the trigger on this figure, is they should have given him an alternate head and a set of armor along with all these other accessories that he came with. I don't think it's too much to ask for a set of armor, even if he isn't wearing an armor in these scenes. They made a whole different figure later on with 2 eyeballs and a set of armor. And it's got all these rubber tabs, but I'm not even bothering to cut them. I'm just ripping it out. Pretty easy to do that with this one, actually. And here we got Mer-Man out of the package. Now, this is one of those things that I wanted to talk about with this figure, is I had assumed, because I hadn't looked too closely at this one, I had assumed that this was just going to be, like how you standard, kind of reuse the He-Man torso on most of these figures. But he actually does have a different torso. Look at that. They've got gills sculpted into his trapezius, which I think is really cool. You might remember the classics version had gills at the trapezius also, but it was like a separate piece that they glued onto it. This is an all original torso here. Amiga Cami is here and says, "G'day from Tasmania." I almost said Transylvania because I guess I just think about Dracula too much. But I opened this figure a month or so ago, but I do wish it came with some armor. Right? That's the problem with this figure, is it doesn't come with armor. Kyrus says, "It's the Dick Tracy gang, the gangsters Dick Tracy and Flat Top and Prune Face and Dr. Octopus, Mafex Robin, and Deathstroke." That's the Mezco figures that he's selling. So yeah. I didn't know Mezco made Dick Tracy. That's cool. So Bobby Wald says, "I think Mer-Man went to the same vocal school as Sea Spray from Transformers. Also, I thought Alan Oppenheimer, and maybe it was Alan Oppenheimer. I was thinking it was Lou Scheimer, but it might have been Alan Oppenheimer. I might be wrong about that. So I might be misremembering. It happens sometimes. I'm not perfect, and I'm an old man, so sometimes I get my wires crossed. All right, so let's talk about these accessories before I get into anything else. And one thing that was a bummer on this guy is when he was sent to me, and he is technically a second-hand figure, they didn't send me any of the extra hands. And his only gripping hand is on the left hand. I would have liked to have had 2 gripping hands so he could hold the trident as well, but I would have hated to miss out on the webbed finger hand too. So it probably would have been nice if they included all the hands, but whatever, it's okay. And if I'm going to have a gripping hand on Mer-Man, I would like it to be his left hand, because I always think of Mer-Man as being a lefty. So he does, though, come with 2 of those open hands with the webbed fingers. That's a nice touch. And 2 solid fist hands, one for the left and one for the right on each of those. And on the figure, Mer-Man comes with 2 gripping hands, so we can have him dual wielding his accessories if we want to. And I'm looking at the head, and I was suspicious of this. I figured this was the case. Is this scar on his eye? That's just painted on there. That's not sculpted in at all. And I kind of suspected that they would have done that so that when they did do the later Mer-Man, where he still had two eyes, the earlier, the later figure of the earlier Mer-Man. I kind of suspected they do that so they wouldn't have to make a new mold. And it's very easy to do that. So no shock there. And then he's got lots of little scars all over his body, which I think that's really cool. That's pretty awesome. He's got kind of gold gauntlets with some slightly metallic orange detailing to them. Or is it slightly metallic orange gauntlets with some gold detailing to it? However you want to look at it. And then he's got some shin guards to match with some little blue accents on it. These are very reminiscent of the 2000X design of Mer-Man. In fact, I think this whole design of Mer-Man in general is very 2000X. So, which will make sense when I get to the armor that I printed out for this guy, because we are going to talk about the armor I printed out for this guy. But first, let's talk about the articulation. So Mer-Man can look up about that far, look down about that far. It's nice that he can look up so far, because you could get some really cool swimming poses out of him that way. He can tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Of course, Mer-Man's arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders, and they raise up at the shoulder about that far. So there we go with that. He's got the bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed elbows, and that's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. They don't seem to... I think this one's kind of stuck. Let's try this one. And then we can maybe get a full range of motion out of the elbow. Amiga Cami says, Revelations seemed more inspired by 2000X than the Filmation series. I think so. In a lot of ways, both the story and the design work of it. I think that they did take a lot of inspiration from 2000X. Obviously, there's some Filmation stuff in there too, because 2000X has a lot of Filmation stuff in it. But yeah, like I really liked 2000X. I thought that was a very well written and very well animated cartoon. So I was pleased that they did use some influence to it and put a lot of their own flourishes into it too. I like all three of those cartoons. I thought they were all good. Al Davis says, not to be that guy, but would it be possible to do a side-by-side height comparison with a McFarlane Batman? Oh yeah, I'd love to. I will be happy to do that. In fact, I kind of considered doing that earlier, and I was specifically going to get the Arkham City version of Batman, because I had him around here somewhere. But I forgot to grab him before I came over here. Let's see if maybe he's over on this side of my computer, because I could have sworn I saw him over here just recently. Maybe underneath. Aha, there we go. Because, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And if I'm going to compare the height of a Kevin Conroy Mer-Man to a Batman figure, I'm going to do a Kevin Conroy Batman figure, right? And since they don't really have, they do have an animated Batman. I don't have the animated Batman in this scale, but they did technically do one. But I do have the Arkham video game version of Batman. So we can go ahead and compare the heights on these two. Either you die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And he's a little bit shorter than Batman. But I think I think the earlier Masterverse figures technically were a little bit shorter in scale. They started making him a little taller later on. At least He-Man they did. He-Man you can see is like way taller than Mer-Man. So yeah, and maybe I got some other, I got Tila, obviously. So I was just talking about her earlier. And then Scareglow. I still got Scareglow over here from when I was comparing him to the Chronicles figure. So we can see him next to Scareglow. Two guys who were originally Skeletor repaints, but now don't share anywhere near as many parts in common with Skeletor as they used to. So that's that's the comparison for that. Now, let's see. Where was I? Kyra says, "Oh, that's a nice Batman, Alan. Were you tempted to get the McFarlane Batwing from the Flash movie?" I mean, I kind of was, but I don't have that one. I do have the Spin Master. You can see the video I did on it. The Spin Master 12-inch figure Batwing, which actually works better for 6-inch figures than it, like in terms of scale, than it does for the 12-inch figures, because you can only make a plane so big for a 12-inch figure, and honestly, Batman just kind of lays in it like it's a coffin at that point. But I had seen where people had made I thought about doing it, but I hadn't gotten around to it. Make a seat to fit in there where you can you can put 6-inch and 7-inch figures in there. I've seen people adapt those for like G.I. Joe Classified and all kinds of stuff. Al Davis says the pillow you're sitting on is giving you a false Dutch angle effect. They look like they're the same size. Well, I mean, that'd be a real Dutch angle effect. I don't know. This couch might be crooked. Bobby Walt says, where do you get your files for 3D printing? I usually use Thingiverse. Thingiverse is good, especially when you're specifically looking for free 3D printing files. That's like one of the best places to look. I use Cults 3D a lot, although some of those files you have to pay for, but usually the ones you have to pay for are worth it. At least the ones I pay for are worth it. If I don't think it's not worth it, I'm not going to pay that much for it. But I find a lot of good parts for Masters of the Universe and G.I. Joe Classified on there, and various McFarlane, whatever I need. And the great thing about 3D printing is like, if something isn't the right scale, you can always make it bigger or smaller. So like I was talking about with this guy, when I go to print out his Corn sword, I'm just going to print out the vintage style Corn sword, and I'm just going to make it bigger. I'm just going to scale it up so it's more in scale with the Masterverse Mer-Man. Oh yeah, I got distracted. I was going to talk about the articulation. So the wrist rotates all the way around, and then I believe all these hands have horizontal hinges on them. Yes, they do. He's got the cool McFarlane. He's got the cool Masterverse torso articulation, so that can wobble around pretty much any which way you want. And doesn't quite rotate all the way around where it meets the torso, but that's okay. It rotates at the waist. That's where you really wanted to rotate anyway. So you can get some good dramatic poses out of this guy. Mer-Man can only kick up about that far because his kind of fish fin, I guess that is, kilt kind of gets in the way. He can do the splits, no problem. Not all the way, but he can do them most of the way. And then he's got a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all the way around. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. He's got a boot cut, so the boot rotates all the way around. Shin guard, whatever you want to call that. His foot can point down about that far. His foot can point up about that far. And technically it should be able to rotate all the way around, but it's going to kind of bump into that shin guard a little bit. So I'm not even going to bother. So let's talk about the accessories that do come with these figures. I already went over the hands. So let's talk about the other weapons. He's got this spear, which is a two-headed spear. Either it's a two-headed spear or it's a bident. I don't know what you want to... Is it a Joe bident? I don't know. It didn't come with an auto pen, so I don't... Oh, I'm so mean. Okay, let's not talk politics on this channel. So you can get him into a cool two-handed pose with the spear. Looks really cool. I do like this weapon. It's a cool weapon to have. But of course, I more think of Mer-Man more than anything else. I think of him as a swordsman. So let's have a look at that sword. And we already had a little bit of a look at it because the custom figure I had came with it. But there's what it looks like. And it looks kind of similar to Frank Miller's 300 kind of sword. It's got that kind of curved aspect of it, but it's a little more organic in shape, I would say, than that one. Let's see, where was I? I'm missing stuff in the chat, so I'm going to go back. Al Davis says, I used to recommend that to my students when I was teaching at art and design technology. Well, that's cool. And then Al Davis says, he does a good Three Amigos swivel. Yes, excellent. I haven't seen that movie in too long. I'm going to have to watch that again. Bobby Wald says, now that I'm thinking of it, someone can pick up the newest version of Stinkor and repaint him as Mer-Man. Yeah, you could do that, actually. Although I would say the head might work, but the body of that one, he actually does have a furry body. So it would be cheaper just to get this guy and just get a new head for him. I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Al Davis says it's a long range eye pokey staff. Yeah, and this is a dude who knows all about the eye pokey, right? And then cool scimitar-ish sword. Yeah, that's a scimitar. That's another way to describe that. It is a cool sword, and I'm not trying to talk smack about it. I'm really not. But to me, Mer-Man's got to have that corn sword. So, I'm going to print him out one. Haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'm going to print him out one. Anyway, now that I've gone over all of that, let's talk about the armor that I 3D printed off of this guy. So this is one I got off of cults3d.com, and I printed it out in kind of a gold filament. It's got kind of a shimmer to it when the light hits it just right. Looks really cool. And this is, of course, based on the Revelation, the armor that he wore in the flashback scene that I was talking about. So you could buy the figure that comes with this, the later Mer-Man figure they had, or you could print out your own if you want to do that. And this set actually came with it pre-sized to fit with. You can make this armor for both the Origins version of Mer-Man and for the Masterverse version of Mer-Man. And it does look really cool. It's got that kind of crustacean sort of look to it. They did a good job designing this for the cartoon. And RBL 3D, I believe, was who designed this one. And he put a lot more detail into it than what was in the animated version. So it looks really sweet. So I haven't done any painting to it yet. But since I did print this one out in gold, I don't think I'm going to do too much painting to it. I'm going to paint in this gem here. And I'm going to paint it in the same color as, or at least as close to the same color as I can get with the shin guards there, the blue on the shin guards and the blue on the belt buckle. That way it all ties together. You got blue, blue, blue all the way down. So Al Davis says, how flexible is the filament used for the armor? This filament is PLA, so it's not very flexible. It's pretty firm. It's flexible enough to suit my purposes when I need it to. Like, it kind of clips together. So you want like a little bit of a springiness there, just a little bit, so you can get the little tabs to fit into the clips. And that's how the armor fits together. So, but yeah, it's not rubbery or anything like that. So, and then also from RBL 3D. I'm not sure if it's RBL or Rebel, but it's spelled all caps. So I'm going to say RBL until I'm corrected. He had a set of Mer-Man heads, and I was able to print out a vintage style Mer-Man head for this guy. And it's a set of all three of the Lords of Power, the cross-cell artwork head, the actual vintage toy head, and the Filmation version of Mer-Man. So you can do whichever version you want to, or you can do multiples. And like I said, this figure is kind of affordable right now. You can get one for cheap. So I'm probably going to buy more of them and put together like all kinds of different variations on Mer-Man. Al Davis says, thank you for answering my questions, dude. Really do appreciate it. Oh yeah, sure. No problem. And then he says, Mer-melons. Oh man. So let's go ahead and put the armor onto him. And this part just kind of fits over the front. And what you want to do is take the back piece of armor, and they kind of sandwich together over the whole torso. And like I said, there's two little tabs here and two little tabs on the back. And the tabs on the back are supposed to grip the tabs on the front. And lo and behold, there's Mer-Man in his armor. I didn't have to take the head off to get the armor on because it kind of sandwiches around him. But I wanted to do that anyway because I wanted to pop the vintage style Mer-Man head on there. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get the the Masterverse vintage Mer-Man. I know he seems like he's one that's a little hard to find. I keep trying to find him on the Walmart website, but he keeps disappearing on me. And I don't know if I'm going to find any in the store because they're all clogged up with Faker right now. But there's a vintage style Mer-Man for you, at least the head. And I could probably print a more vintage style armor for him if I wanted to. I was thinking it would be cool to print this same armor, but in more of a yellow kind of color. Like I've got this yellow over here that I like to use for Mer-Man stuff, where it's like a darker sort of goldenrod yellow. But I do like the gold. It looks very regal. Kyrus asks, "Are you going to buy any Viltrumites?" Am I saying that from Invincible? Yeah, am I saying that right? Are you going to buy any Viltrumites from Invincible? It's been a while since I watched the show. So, and you read stuff in comics and you have to sound it out, and a lot of the time because it's a made-up word or something, and I'm never sure if I'm saying these words correctly when I'm pronouncing them a lot of the time. Because if it's a made-up word like that, and I'm slightly dyslexic, so I oftentimes have problems knowing if I'm pronouncing something correctly. And a lot of the times I'll pronounce something incorrectly and look like an idiot. That's why I don't really make fun of people when they mispronounce stuff. Because I figure if you mispronounce something, it's probably because you read it. And if you read it, you're obviously an intelligent person, because intelligent people read. And if you mispronounce something, it's not so much that you're stupid. It's just so much that like you just haven't been able to learn yet. Al Davis says, ask Kyrus where the Viltrumites are from, and then Kyrus says, "I'm not sure." And then Al Davis says, "I've been a fan of Invincible since it started in 2003 and The Walking Dead." You got it right. Well, good. Awesome. Yeah, I did read the comic book of Invincible like way back in the day. I think they're still doing Invincible, aren't they? I thought they were still doing it. But and Walking Dead, that comic's still running, I think. Last I checked, they were. I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop on comics these days. Al Davis says Jada Toys are doing Invincible, Blue Suit, Oliver as a teen, and Conquest. Well, that's cool. But yeah, I did read some of those comics. I never read the comic of Walking Dead, but I did watch the show. So I watched the show at least like the first couple of seasons, I think. And then I got distracted by other things. Maybe I'll go back and try to watch all the Walking Dead one of these days. And I know there's a new season of Invincible out, so I should probably try to watch that at some point. But I get busy a lot, and even in the time where I've got like time off, I've got other things that I'm doing, like hobbies and things like that. So a lot of the times when I watch stuff, I prefer to watch stuff that I've already seen, so I don't have to pay a whole lot of attention to it. Okay, so Al Davis says the regular series is done, but there's spin-offs, Capes Continued and Battle Beast. Okay, well, cool. And it says, I have every issue of both. Shocked how much issue 1 is worth now. It's crazy. Well, it's harder, I think, to keep track of what the newer comics coming out are worth, because obviously the print runs now are a lot lower than they would have been in the 1990s. So if you have something that really takes off, there's not as many like X-Men #1, the Jim Lee X-Men #1 was something that people were speculating on, and Marvel printed millions of copies of that, and they sold millions of copies of that. What we got to realize is when they say they sold millions of copies, they mean they sold them to the comic book stores. And then, the comic book stores, I'm sure, sold millions of copies, but there were still millions of copies left over. So you can still find X-Men #1 in quarter bins, last I checked. And that was a book a lot of people speculated on, because that was going to be like the next hot book. But it's kind of hard to have a book that's that valuable when like that many people own it already. Like Death of Superman is another one, like the issue where Superman dies. Like that's one that that's one that a lot of the speculators bought a lot of that, and like I think it's fairly valuable book right now. Like it's certainly above cover price. Because it is still a key issue, but it's not like it's not something where you're going to sell it and put your kids through college. But then you have something like, say, Absolute Batman, which I still haven't read, and honestly, I don't have much interest in that. I can't really take that seriously. Like, I'm sorry to anybody who's a fan of that, but to me, it just looks silly. Like, he's all pumped up like a balloon, and all the villains are monsters. Like, literally, like the Joker is like a kaiju demon or something, and I'm just like, whatever. Like, if you like it, you like it. Good. If it's the sort of thing you like, it's the sort of thing you like, and good for you. I'm glad you got something you enjoy, but I just nah, I'll stick to the old school stuff, thanks. But still, it's a book that sells. It's a book that's got a following. They must be doing something right. So I'm not trying to say it's bad. I'm just saying it ain't for me, man. But those comics I hear are selling for crazy amounts on the aftermarket, and I'm just like, dude, check out the check out the trade paperback when that comes. You don't have to buy like the original issue unless you're like seriously a collector and you want to seriously collect that. I mean, that's some people still got to have those original printings, but if you just want to read it, there's all kinds of ways to read stuff nowadays. And then Al Davis says that Energon Kirkman verse is doing incredibly well, and says that Invincible had a print run between like 7,000 to 10,000 worldwide, and last I looked, Invincible #1 was going for 5,000 to 6,500 5,000 pounds to $6,500. So yeah, that makes sense, because like I think I want to say at the time that Invincible was first published, like I don't think anybody really knew how big that book was going to be, and I'm talking about how big that book was going to be as a comic book, let alone with how big everything wound up being like once they did the show on Amazon, and then kind of more mainstream audiences got kind of exposed to it. You know, a character that like, if my mom knows who that character is, that's always going to have a little more cachet to it than, you know, a character that my mom doesn't know who it is. It's why when somebody said that Jason Momoa going from Aquaman to Lobo was a downgrade, and people started mocking this guy, saying that like, oh yeah, Aquaman's such a better character than Lobo. Well, you know what? My mom knows who Aquaman is. My mom doesn't know who Lobo is. My dad knows who Aquaman is. My dad, who cannot give a shit about superheroes. He knows who Aquaman is. If I ask him, hey, Dad, have you ever heard of Aquaman? Oh, yeah, sure. And like, if I ask him, have you ever heard of Lobo? He'd be like, oh, yeah, from BJ and the Bear, Sheriff Lobo. I sure remember him. He's not going to know who Lobo is. Come on. Nobody who knows who Lobo is, unless you actually read comic books. Everybody knows who Aquaman is. So yeah, Aquaman's a bigger character than Lobo. I hate to tell you. Al Davis says, I'm just super happy to have people find it, especially via the Amazon animated series. I loved it from 2003 and was waiting for the audience to discover it. Dude, trust me, I know that feeling. Like, you know, like I had a friend of mine who he saw Captain America First Avenger, and he just fell in love with Captain America as a character and that version of Captain America. And Winter Soldier came out, he loved it even more. And he was talking to me. It's like, man, I just never realized how cool of a character Captain America was until they did him in the movie. And I'm like, that's what he's always been in the comic book, man. He's always been that kind of character. Go back and check out the comic. And he did. He went back. He read the Golden Age stuff, man. Like, he went back and he was reading Simon and Kirby Captain America. Like, as he was a comic book fan, he wasn't like a normie. But it's just Captain America was just a character that was never really on his radar. He was a little too. He saw Captain America as being like a little too white bread, a little too Boy Scout, and like I think if you watch that MCU version of Captain America, yeah, he is kind of white bread and kind of Boy Scout, but you realize that's actually kind of cool, isn't it? Being a Boy Scout is kind of cool, you know. Bobby Wald says, I would like to see Alan Ritchson as Aquaman. Well, he has played Aquaman, obviously, in the Smallville show, which I'm sure is what you're referencing. And then he also did the voice of Aquaman in the New Frontier animated movie in the very brief cameo that, unfortunately, that character, he should. Al Davis says, Lobo, is he a Mexican luchador? Luchador? Did they say luchador or luchador? I forget. But yeah, like, exactly. Nobody knows who Lobo is. Unless you're like a comic book fan, you don't know who Lobo is. But yeah, Alan Ritchson, sorry, coming back to play Aquaman again. That would be cool. I know there's been rumors about them doing some kind of Smallville continuation of some kind for years now. And if they did that, they could always bring him back for Aquaman in that, couldn't they? That would be cool. Al Davis says, I've said to my friends, Invincible for me has felt like how I imagine people who grew up when Spider-Man was being released. He's my Spider-Man. And then Kirkman got to do a Marvel team up. Well, you know, like I kind of look at I kind of looked at that when I first read it as like this is what it would be like if Superman was Spider-Man's dad, and then of course Superman turned evil, or always was evil the whole time. We just never knew it. I think that was probably one of the earliest versions of the evil Superman trope, at least as far as not literally evil versions of Superman, but just like other characters based off Superman who happen to be evil. Like Hyperion is probably the earliest version I can think of, but yeah, that was probably one of the first ones done in like a big separate project that didn't have anything to do with DC or anything like that. It was an awesome double issue, one Marvel team up and one on Invincible side too. Well, that's cool. Like I want to say like there was something that I want to say it was like a Marvel, like a Spider-Man Savage Dragon team up or something, where Howard the Duck was in there and Steve Gerber wrote it. So he kind of tried to sneak Howard the Duck out of the Marvel universe and replaced him with a clone in that one. I forget what that was, but and then brought him into the Image universe in disguise or something. Kyrus says, I liked how Simon Bisley drew Lobo, especially in Lobo's back. Hell yeah, like Simon Bisley is like just like one of the all-time greats, and I'm a huge fan of his. In fact, like you see this Batman action figure back there. That's one from way back in the 90s. And the main reason I like this one is because it's based on Simon Bisley's artwork. And they made a Batmobile that looked like the Batmobile from Batman Judge Dredd. So I thought that was really sweet. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that like Lobo was like at least a popular enough character to get a miniseries at that time. But it was Simon Bisley's version of Lobo that really made the character take off, I think. And you know, if you look at how Lobo was drawn before Simon Bisley and after Simon Bisley, you see exactly what I'm talking about. Al Davis says, I met Bisley and have a drawing of Slain by him at a local comic. Well, that's awesome. Went out drinking after. He's a laugh and a cool dude. Yeah, he seems like he would be a really cool dude. Like I know like him and Kevin Eastman wound up becoming really good friends and collaborated on a lot of projects. So I'm sure they partied a lot on that Ninja Turtle money. You know what I mean? And another comic I should mention that Bisley did that I really enjoyed was with Kevin Eastman. He did the Casey Jones and Raphael and the Body Count miniseries. I think the first part of it was called Casey Jones and Raphael, and the second part was called Body Count, or vice versa. Anyway, it's Bisley doing Ninja Turtles with the guy who co-created the Ninja Turtles. And it is like the most hardcore R-rated Ninja Turtles you could possibly imagine. Like there's all kinds of blood and guts and violence, and it's Raphael. None of the other turtles are in it, just Raphael. But I mean, like if you're gonna have Simon Bisley draw just one Ninja Turtle, Raphael's the one you want him to draw, and he does a great Casey Jones too. Yeah, Judgment on Gotham, that's the one. I don't think he did the other ones. I want to say other artists did the other one shots, which are fine, but Bisley was the one who really brought the magic, I think, for that. Kyra says the Bisley Batmobile is his favorite. Al David says that is one of my most treasured comics. I absolutely love, capital letters, the Batmobile in that book. Hell yeah. And I don't think it's likely to get reprinted anytime soon. So if you got a copy of it, hold on to it. the rights issues. Al Davis says that might be his favorite Batmobile too. Kyra says Simon Bisley is building a chopper shop in his bedroom, and it looks awesome. And says he's going to have to check out. I'm guessing you're talking about the Ninja Turtle comic I was talking about. Yeah, you definitely should. It's good. It's good stuff. And then Kyra says Judgment on Gotham is one of my favorite painted comics everywhere. Yeah, like that was done like before painted comics really became a mainstream thing, I think, before Alex Ross came along and painted comics really exploded when he did Marvels and then Kingdom Come, and then you just had painted comics everywhere. But Bisley's a dude who's talented enough that like he did some painted covers at least for Lobo. And then they probably wanted to do. He did painted comics over in England, like before like British comics. I think he did some painted British comics over like Judge Dredd and things like that. But yeah, that was at least for American comics. I think the first comic that he painted, and it's just awesome. And I loved the Batman design in that. How he's just all big and massive, but like not to the point of ridiculousness. It fits with his style and the way he did the cowl, like almost like an exaggerated version of that Neil Adams kind of Batman cowl. It just looks so cool. And like I said, this action figure and the regular Legends of Batman figure, I'll let you get a closer look at it. Like you can see he's got those kind of pumped up proportions. He's got that Bisley type of belt, the kind of banana hammock trunks that Bisley gave him. And like they don't quite capture it as well as I think they could have, but it's a thought that counts. And he's a little dusty. I'll have to dust these off. I'm getting don't want them to get too dusty. But anyway, this was the they did a regular version of this, and this is the one from the Warner Brothers store that was an exclusive. So that's one I decided I was going to keep it in the package. I don't do that very often. But this all this stuff back here is stuff that I decided to keep in the package for whatever reason. And I kind of want to have like every Batman character, all of my favorite Batman characters, at least in the package. Like I've got the Wind Blitz Batgirl right here. And this is, if you want to see what the Legends of Batman packaging looks like. And you can see they were going for kind of a Bisley thing, but it's still a little more vanilla than Bisley's, I think. But yeah, they were all kind of pumped up and muscular like that. So, but there's one of my favorite Catwoman figures, the Jim Ballant Catwoman. She looks great. And you have the Total Justice Aquaman and another one of those Warner Brothers Batman. It's the Power Crusader Batman, I think. I got animated series Brainiac. I got the Batman Forever versions of Riddler and Two-Face. That's a Target exclusive Riddler. Batman has an awesome huge cape in that too, he says. Al Davis says. And then I missed a whole lot of chats. Al Davis says he's got two copies. One his cool cousin gave him, and one a little bit rougher I picked up about 10 years ago. And I really love David Matt's Kabuki too. Insanely good art. Yeah, my friend Kyle Putkamer, the owner of the Galactic Quest comic book store in Lawrenceville and Beaufort, we give him a little shout out. He's a big fan of David Mack. And then Al Davis says, Kyrus, it's super good. It's awesome. Judge Death is actually genuinely creepy as fuck in that. And that's the first comic I ever read Judge Death in. So it took me a while to finally track down the original Brian Bolland stories. I think I had to read them online even. Kyrus says someone should make the Judgment of Gotham action figures. It would be epic like Elnar or Elpis. Yeah, I was saying like way back when I opened that Norm Brayfogle Batman, which is my favorite Batman figure that McFarlane made, at least maybe my favorite Batman figure of all. I was saying I would like to see more artist specific versions, and they have done a Kelly Jones Batman since. That one's great. But one of the ones that I said I would like to see at the time was Simon Bisley. I would love to see McFarlane do a Simon Bisley Batman. I don't know if they got time left. Al Davis says that Catwoman looks like she'd fit in perfectly in the Rocketeer or the Phantom too. Yeah, exactly. It's like Jim Ballant designed a costume that I think was kind of like old school Catwoman, but still kind of modern, or at least 90s, like contemporary for its time. So I was happy with how that turned out. And then Kyra says, did you guys notice in Deadpool and Wolverine, the Xavier chick did the finger trick like Judge Death does in the comics? Yeah, totally. And then Alf Davis says, I wish there was a great Judge Dredd and Lawbringer. His bike? Yeah, the bike was super cool. So I always thought that was awesome. I read a lot of the earlier Judge Dredd comics. When I was in middle school, I was able to get some from one of the other students had a few that he was willing to trade me, and that was how I was able to read those. And then went back and read a lot of the earlier stuff, and the Brian Bolland stuff. Read a lot of that stuff online because I could find scans of it. And then Al Davis says, I hadn't noticed. Good catch. I totally see that now with the finger trick. Yeah. I hadn't really like put the 2 and 2 together, but yeah, it's totally the Judge Death thing. Anyway, I think that's about it for Mer-Man. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below, and leave a comment and let me know what you think about this version of Mer-Man specifically, but just Mer-Man in general. I'm always happy to talk about Mer-Man. So Kyra says Haya is making a killer Judge Death 112 scale. Should be out very soon. And Al Davis says the ABC War is great too. Yeah, I don't think I ever read ABC War, but I probably should check that one out one of these days. So anyway, that is it. Yeah, that is it for now. It's been a fairly long episode. I do need to try to take a nap before I go to work. And I got another couple of things I want to get started as far as like 3D printing stuff. But we'll be back. I'm not sure when the next episode's going to be because I got to go into work early Monday and Tuesday. So I might want to try to get as much sleeping in as possible when I do that. And I might go try to visit my mother on Wednesday. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do an episode on any of those 3 days, but if I do, I don't even know what I'm going to do yet. So we got a lot of stuff to open. I'll just have to look through my stuff and figure out what the best thing is to do. I know I got Order of the Crimson Moon figures to open, so I might go ahead and do those. I might see if I've got anything else that I can open up. I know I got the Frankenstein figure, the Four Horsemen Frankenstein. I've still got that to open. Got a whole lot of stuff. So anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.